afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here right now, right this very moment, for the May 2017 Tabs 3 Virtual User Group meeting from your friendly folks at Attorney Computer Systems, where today we will be talking about chart of account management. I haven't talked about this really before, but they really made it a lot easier to build your chart, move things around, move them up and down. Mary Jo's going to show you all these neat new things that are in the chart of account in General Ledger and how you can control that. And I'm going to talk about how payments get allocated when they're put into the system and how you can have control over that. Without further ado, I'm going to press several magic buttons because Mary Jo, I just realized I forgot to get into the demo copy of the software. So give me just a second here. Maybe you can tell a lawyer joke or something on the way.
I don't know any good lawyer jokes.
Are there any good lawyer jokes?
It probably is an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yes. So let me get over here and over here. I should shut up and pay attention to what I'm doing because it will make things go quicker. There we go. We're into General Ledger. Going in as Ron. And Mary Jo, take it away.
Okay. So most of the time when we get the software and you order General Ledger software, we set up your chart of accounts, or you may have set it up and it's good. You don't have to really do too much to it. But then I have other firms that every time they add a new employee or a new timekeeper, they have to go in and they have to add accounts for the health insurance and the salary, and they're splitting up the income and all of that. And so whenever you have to add or change or make different modifications to that chart of accounts, we have to go in and we have to do that. So some of you may never touch it after it's set up. Some of you are going to be changing it every time you add somebody, or you just need to add a new account, you get a new bank account, whatever that is. There's lots of reasons that you might have to come in here. So in the chart of accounts in the General Ledger, they have revamped this to make it much, much easier to be able to add accounts, move accounts around, change things than it used to be. We used to have to pay attention to sorts and have it in exactly the right sort order, and the number had to be in a certain spot, or it showed up underneath or outside of a grouping that you wanted. Well, now it's as simple as just creating a new account, dragging and dropping it wherever you want, and creating that new account that you want. So I'm going to go down to the income accounts because a lot of times if a new timekeeper comes in and we want to split that time, we want to add a new account here. Now, a little trick that I find is if I highlight the account directly above where I want to put the new account in and hit new, it's going to drop that account right underneath where I've highlighted. That just kind of speeds things up. I don't have to have it up at the top and drag it down. I can go about where I want. We can still give it a number. There are numbers here for the account numbers. They're internal only. They don't mean anything to anybody else except you. So if they get out of order, you don't have to panic. You can have accounts out of order because we can drag and drop. So if there's not the next available number here, just pick a number that's in that range, maybe a 4,000 number, and you can drag and drop it wherever you want it to be. So I'm going to create a new income account. So I'm going to hit the new button, and you can see it's already coming in there. Next available sub account, it knew that the one I had highlighted was the 4,100, and my next available sub is 11. And that's what I want. So I'm going to say, okay. We're going to just name this fee income dash MJB.
I think it should be Paul.
No, it's going to be me. This is mine over here. You can name it whatever you want. Departments can be set up, and I can assign this to a department. I have one firm. Again, every time a new employee comes on, that employee has its own department that is set up somewhere else. In this case, I'm just going to leave it out in the main department. I don't want it in, if I put 0, it's going to go in all departments. Departments is another topic for another day. This is an income account, and it's a detail account. This little drop down tells me all the different types of accounts I have. If it's an asset account or a bank account, those all show up on the asset section of my income statement. Balance sheet. Liability accounts and credit cards are also going to show up on my balance sheet. And then I have my income and expenses that will be on my income statement. So those are the different kinds of accounts you can have. A bank account is still an asset, but it'll allow me to reconcile it. Credit card is still a liability, but it will allow me to reconcile it. So those two are the difference in what I'm doing. That's the only thing outside of the normal liability or income or expense. The print type is going to either be a heading, a totaling, or a detail account. We do have a comment account as well, but the three main ones that you're going to use are heading, total, or a detail. Detail is always going to be the ones that we're actually going to post our entries to. Heading and totaling is always going to be my groupings, and you can see up above here I have several different headings and subheadings and totaling accounts in here, all in how I want to group these accounts. I have an income section here, and then I've broken down my fee income and then my total income. So there's just, I could have had another income header in here that said fee income and a total fee income and broken it out separate. So there's lots of different things with heading and totaling accounts that you can do as well. If you're an accrual accounting firm, you can say this is an accrual account. We have very few of those anymore. Everything's pretty much cash-based. And if we have an account that we no longer use anymore, but we had postings prior, you can never delete an account that you've posted to at some point in the past. We can mark them inactive and not show them on our chart of accounts anymore. The Report Options tab is going to give me just that. Do I want this to print on my detail report? Do I want it to print on my summary report? Sometimes we would have on our detail report all of the fee income accounts separated out so I can see all of that individual amount, but on my summary it will just give me a total for all of the fee income. It's not going to give me that detail. But if I wanted it to split out, I could tell it to. So either one of these I can tell, either show it on this report or not. And then we also can have lines before and after. If this were a heading and totaling account, this would give me that option to go ahead and put in a break in between. This is the make it pretty section, I always call it. Do we want lines between? Do we want to break this up so they're not all lumped together? Do we want to have underscores after my totaling accounts? Usually my single totaling accounts will have a single line, and my overall totalings will have a double, so you can do that. You also can invert the balance type. So most accounts have a certain default that they're going to be. Expense accounts are always debit accounts, but for some reason if you wanted to invert that and make it a credit account, you could. I don't know why that you would do that very often, but there is that option there. I'm just going to save that now, and it's going to pop that account right underneath that one. Now, if for some reason I decided, you know what, I want these alphabetical. I don't want these to be in this order. I want them alphabetical. I could drag and drop this account by grabbing the hand and grabbing those little arrows and pull it up and down to put it exactly where I want it. Again, the numbers that I named it don't mean anything when I can drag and drop. Now, I do like to, because I'm kind of an anal retentive, obsessive compulsive person, I guess you would say, I like things numbered as much as I can in that realm at least. So I want all of my asset accounts to be 1000s. I want all of my liability accounts to be 2000s, and so on. I kind of want to keep it in that range. In here, I think in here we've got our equity is the 3000s, income is 4, and then my expenses start in 5, and I might have 5, 6, 7,000 numbers for my expenses to really break it up. But I try to keep it in that range somewhere. Now, I may not have them exactly in order, but I want them at least with that beginning number. If I needed to add, so in our income section, I said I could do like a total fee income. So I'm going to just click on this heading account here and click new again. And this time I'm going to make a heading and a totaling account. I'm going to go ahead and just let it be, what am I on, 40, I'm going to make this a specific account number and make it 4009.00 and say okay. This is going to now be a heading account because I was highlighted on a heading account before. And if I have that option to do that, it just makes it a little easier because I know this heading account that I'm creating is going to go right underneath this heading. It's a subheading. So this will be fee income. And every time we create a heading account or a totaling account, it's immediately going to ask me to create the other side. We can't have a heading account without a totaling, and we can't have a totaling without a heading. So rather than have to try to figure that out, when I save the heading, it immediately asks me, do you want to create that matching totaling account? And it's giving it this number. Now, I used to get really, really technical on this, and I would go down to the last income account and say, okay, that number was 4,300 or whatever that is, 4,900, I can't see it. And I would make my totaling account be wrapped around that. And what I've learned lately is these numbers don't mean anything. So why am I racking my brain and trying to figure out what the last one is? Who cares? I'm just going to make it the 4009.99 and wrap it around. So now I've just said okay, and it's creating the total account with that 4009.99. It's the total account. It says total fee income, and I'm going to save it. Now I've got my 2 heading and totaling accounts for my fee income, and all I have to do is drag down this to the total fee income. And now I've just wrapped around another subheading so I can group this. Now I also can come in.
I just have to interject that would have been a half hour's worth of work.
Yeah, in the old way
of doing things, because you had to know the numbers and the sort
sequences. And the sort sequence made a difference. That did make a difference in the past, but now it doesn't. And if I go into the totaling account to my report options, now these are not grayed out anymore. So I could say I wanted, one line after, and I want to underscore my totaling once as a single line. All of that is available. Now, if you used to do this and be in the chart of accounts, you'll see that in this option, we no longer have that other tab there that says all that account information. They've moved that out of the chart of accounts to a separate area. Now, I could right-click and get into my account information. In here, I believe there's a way to put it in and edit the account information. Yeah, I'm on a totaling account. Let me go in here. So here we go, account information. But this view right here is a little bit limited sometimes in what I want to do if I wanted to set things, and I'm only getting the one account. And when I get out, I'm going right back to the chart. But I can still see it by right-clicking and doing that account information. And now they've broken out to show us not just the balances like we used to see, but I can do columns and compare. So I can take 2016 compared to 2017 and get a difference column. Or I could have 2014, 15, and 16 and just show them all side by side for my balances each month. But they've taken it a step farther with the budget. So now I can set up a budget in here. If this is an income account, so I could set a budget for that, or my expense account. And again, compare 2016, 2017 actual, and then the difference between the two. There's a budget report I can get to and just quickly print what the budget is. If I want to set the budgets, I can do that here, but I've already got something I'm in the chart of accounts, that's why. That's the limitation I was talking about. You can't do certain things because you're in the chart of accounts view. And then you can also see journal entries. And I can go back as far as I want. So this is helpful if very quickly I know I posted something to the wrong account, or I want to see what the activity was in this account. I can go over to the Journal Entries tab, kick in a date range, and see all of the entries for that account, for that time frame, and I can double click and go out into that journal entry to make any corrections or move it if I need to. So that in itself is huge, and I can get to that just by right-clicking in the chart, or like I said, they have broken it out over to account information, and then I can get in and I could actually set the budgets now because I'm out of that chart. So for whatever year, I can allocate things by the month and then save it, do a budget report, and see where I am in that budget, all on one screen without having to go in any report tab, any of that other stuff. It's all right here on the chart. So huge, huge, huge changes that came our way. You can also show the inactive accounts if you need to. So if you've marked an account inactive and you need to reactivate it, you can do that up here in the corner and get in and move around and change it up. Paul?
Awesome. I remember how excited we were when these things came out, because we're usually the ones that end up building the chart in most instances. And it dawned on us a couple of weeks ago that we had never talked about these in the VUG virtual user group meeting, so here we are. I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to go over to tabs. And so I'm going to get my little go to meeting control panel out of the way, and I'm going to get over to tabs, and we're going to talk about payments and how they get allocated. First off, we want to open up our contest. We're going to give a cash prize. I'm holding it in my hand, a shiny brand new quarter, to anybody who can tell me what this button looks like. So think about it. In a minute, I'll tell you what we think it looks like. And you'll be able to see it as soon as I get into adding a payment and pick an account that I should be making a payment on. That's silly, not the administrative account. We're going to pick Mega Construction, because they always owe us money. No, they don't right now. How about Peterson Insurance? I guess we should have picked one that owes us money. Here's somebody that owes us some money. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a payment of $1,000. And then as soon as I start typing a number here, this little button gets lit up. It's no longer grayed out, it's lit up. And I can't tell you how many people I've pointed this out to. Most people don't notice that. Most people have never been in here. They've never ventured into the, are you ready? The flying money button. We think that's a dollar bill with wings. Why? Because this is where you go to see how Tabs wants to allocate your payments. And why am I not going in there? There we go. So you get into this payment allocation window. You can tell you're in the payment allocation window, A, because if you've ever been here, you know that's what it looks like, but B, because that's what it says up here. And so you have these different views up here. You can either look at how it breaks down fee compensation-wise, or statement-wise, or just overall AR summary-wise. If you expand some of these things, you'll see that statement allocation has two statements that it could be applied to. So if you click on statement allocation, you're looking at those two statements and how that $1,000 is being applied between those two statements. If you go further and click on one of the statements, you'll see how that part of that's being applied to that statement is breaking down among fees, expenses, advances, and finance charge. If you go further, you'll see of that amount that's being applied to that statement in fees, how it's breaking down among people. Now, you can see the same thing here, but here it's overall, and oh, that's fee. This is the rules, okay, and then this is the work. So this is who did the work that's generating this allocation of $483.25. You see that roughly $293 is going to Michael, about $80 is going to Paula, and about $110 is going to Ronald. Now, if you look at it this way, you're seeing that all of it's what's being allocated to that statement is going to fees. If you look at it here, you'll see that all of what's being allocated to that statement is going to fees. If you look at it again up here, you'll see the two statements and how it goes. So, if you want,
first, Paul, tell them where that's coming from, how that's determining that.
Very good.
Where did it get this original amount
How
from?
did it decide? Mm-hmm. So let's get out of payments here. Let's not save. And let's go into the client screen. And Mary Jo, you're going to have to help me here. Okay. Which one is it? Yeah. I never know which one to go to.
Yeah. Set up. And right here, the method to apply payments.
And so what you have here, this is how Tabs is going to break down these payments on a matter-by-matter basis. You'll notice we're currently in 1.00, which is an administrative matter, but it doesn't matter. Every matter has this. And so you can say on a matter-by-matter basis how you want it to apply. Most people apply to, do they do 2 or 1, Mary Jo? Usually 1 or 2. 1 or 2. The difference between 1 and 2 is whether it's doing all of the oldest finance charge. Let's say you have 2 statements and they both have finance charge. In method 2, it's going to pay off all the finance charge first, and then all the advances, and then all the expenses, and then finally all the fees. Whereas in statement allocation method 1, it's going to pay off all the finance charge from the oldest bill, and then all of the advances from the oldest bill, and then all the costs, expenses from the oldest bill, then all the fees from the oldest bill, and then it'll move on to the next bill.
And if there's any question on any of these 1 through 5s, if you hit the yellow question mark when you're on the setup page, it will completely go into detail of exactly each 1, 2, 3. If you scroll down just a little bit, Paul, for the method to apply payments, and then scroll down just a little bit on that, and it will break down each one a little bit further. Mm-hmm. It will tell you, keep going, a little more, right here. So it'll have 1, what it's going to do if it's the oldest finance charge. 2, what it's going to do with that. And you can get a better handle on how it's defaulting based on the matter to get over there. Now, I'm sorry, Paul, I threw that at you, but I want him to understand how they got there. That's so now, when Paul gets over to this money, the flying money, you're overriding that. So you're overriding what you defaulted for the client and saying, no, I don't want that. I want to do it this way.
Exactly. So what's happening here is that you're saying, I've got $1,000 for you, and it's saying, okay, according to the payment allocation method that you've set for this matter, this is how I'm going to break it down. And if you don't like that, well, all you got to do is come in here and reallocate. Now, if you want to reallocate down to the statement level by fees, you can do that by coming here. If you really only care about getting it down to the fees and how it's distributed among the people, you can do it here. These are different perspectives of the same information, looking at it through different glasses, different perspectives, okay? And so if you want to change it to where Michael Jensen is getting credit for, oh, let's say all $1,000, well, I guess I have to get in there, back to fees. You want to make it where Michael Jensen is getting credit for all $1,000, and that's all you have to do. Yep. As I was doing that, let's actually, I'm going to clear all allocations, or I'm just going to cancel. I'm going to come back in. If I go into this fees section and I double click on Michael Jensen and I type 1,000, now I've got negative unapplied. In other words, I got to get rid of the rest of this. That's what it's saying. And as I do get rid of it, that negative unapplied goes down to 0. It should never be more than 0. It should never be less than 0. And that's really how you take control. That's how you get in to look at it. That's how you tell how Tabs is doing it. A lot of people, I would have to say that the majority of the time that people come in here, it's really just to see how it's being applied. I think it's very infrequent that people actually need to change it.
I think the only time I've seen that, well, not the only time, because they do come in and reallocate for attorneys sometimes, but the biggest reason they come in is because Tabs always wants to pay that expense in advance, the advance expenses first. And sometimes they have a payment that's just for fees. The client is stating this is just for fees. I don't want anything to go to cost. So they want to override that, take out the cost, and put it all against fees.
Exactly.
And that eliminates that old school fee payment and cost payment that we have to double entry and all of that.
Yes.
You just come into the allocation now, and you can say, I don't want that to go to cost. I want it to go to fees.
Yes, and what Mary Jo's talking about with the old school fee only, cost only payment, that's the way we used to do it. When you put payments in, you had a separate payment code for each type of payment it could be, and you had a separate payment. You could kind of combine them together into one. That was kind of hokey too, but that's totally been rewritten years and years and years ago, and this is an offshoot of that. And so that's that. Anything else? Did I miss anything else, Mary Jo? Am I doing all right? Okay. So next month, we're going to talk about DFIC. And if you don't know what that means, I'll tell you right now that it means Data File Integrity Check. Mary Jo is going to take that topic. People, sometimes we get the impression that people are doing this, but they don't really know why. And they don't know, whether or not they should be paying attention to what they're getting on their DFIC reports. A Data File Integrity Check is something that you run maybe monthly, maybe every couple months. It tells you if there's any problems in your data. Mary Jo is going to talk about what those problems could be, how to run the DFIC, how to do all the things that go along with it. And I'm going to look at opening all. You know what? That's the wrong. That's a Practice Master topic. Okay, so we're not talking about DFICs next month. I wrote this down in the wrong place. Mary Jo is going to talk about the email statements report. And people are emailing statements, and they sometimes want to find out what they've done, and a lot of people don't know there's a report that'll tell them exactly what went on. And I am going to talk about backups. The working title for this was Backups, Hot or Not, because there are two types of backup. If you've got platinum, you're doing what we call a hot backup, and if you don't have platinum, that's okay. We still have a backup routine for you. So we're going to talk about that, how to schedule them if you've got hot backups, how to do them, where they go, what they mean, why you shouldn't have them be your only source of protection. And of course, it wouldn't be a virtual user group meeting if I didn't take you into the attorneycomputersystems.com website. Notice the emphasis on the last S in the word systems, because if you go there and hover over the videos menu option, you will see a breakdown of all the videos we have. We have our water cooler virtual user group meetings, which you are currently in the Tabs VUG, Tabs Virtual User Group Meeting. We also have Practice Master and World Docs. We also have our Coffee Pot webinars. That's our other live event. So obviously the 3 virtual user group meetings are live. So is my monthly coffee pot webinar where I take an ancillary product like a Symphony for World Docs, or like Pensoft Payroll for the tabs and accounting software, and I bring somebody in from that company, usually, to help me explain what that product does, and then I talk about how it integrates with the products we have. We also have our pre-recorded videos. Mary Jo has her eBites video series. These are 3 short, 3 or 4 minute videos that she records each month, one on tabs, one on Practice Master, one on World Docs. Getting into the very quick little cool things that we find or that we think people might not know about that they should. And then we have our longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where either I or Mary Jo will take a broader topic and spend a good deal more time explaining all the subtle nuances, spending 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes getting very deep, taking a deep dive into a very specific topic. So they're all here. If you click, for instance, on the Tabs-Free Virtual User Group meeting, you will see information on the next meeting with the topics that we just eventually told you about, and links. These are both the same links. They'll take you to the same place to register. And then as you scroll down, you'll see recorded versions of the ones we've done in the past. This one is the one you're currently listening to, and so it's currently in post-production. When Brad, our post-video producer, gets done with it in a week or two, it'll be up here. And as you scroll down even further, you will see recorded versions of every one that we've ever recorded, obviously, and those go way, way back. We're talking years, so you've got literally hundreds of titles on our site with various topics. And of course, you can come up here and search. So if you wanted to learn about email statements, you could type email in here and select from this list, or you could see all the results and go to a more detailed list and get to exactly the information that you're looking for. And so that's it. Everybody have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the month, and we will see you in June at our Tabs-Free Virtual User Group meeting. Thanks much. Bye-bye.